So we're on to our second half, and we absolutely love it when people approach us and ask us for a chance to tell their story, because often when those people are given that opportunity, the stories that they tell are truly remarkable. This is a story about a dream coming true. Please welcome on stage Nicole Buckley.
So, is that it then? It's pretty much all I absorbed in that moment. A 23-year-old mummy, a 2-year-old little boy sat on my lap, and a room full of people who at the time, strangers to me. I can still hear the keys, under the pediatrician's fingers. He was typing jargon onto some document, chiseling the big A word into the slate of what was only the beginning of Scott's life. Autism, engraved there to stay. Autism, my head said. Autism, but that's Scott, my heart said. Ah, my gut said, we've got this. Call it what you want. So, how we started. George Orwell once mentioned that the most terrible loneliness is not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from being misunderstood. The loneliness of standing in a crowded room surrounded by people who do not see you, who do not hear you, who do not know the true essence of who you are, and in that loneliness you feel as though you are fading, disappearing into the background, a shadow of a person you once knew, your former self. The quote continues, but let me pause there. On the 6th of August, 2012, in that maternity ward, with my cesarean stitches, marking more stitches of the tapestry of my life, a life that now means nothing without Scott. The way he first took his steps, rolled over, and literally in a blink, he was walking around. There were play dates and mummy coffee mornings. I remember Scott pointing at his alphabet book, and he would say, Fawa, Baun, Teddy. And my maternity time was amazing. Have any of you here heard of regression before? Because I tell you what, let me tell you all about it. You realize one day that the eye contact's not there, and you think to yourself, actually, was it ever? Wait, I haven't heard him ask for his dink when he's thirsty for a while. So you pull out the alphabet book, and treachery, you say, disregarding the thick cardboard pages. Scott, what's this one? Scott, what's this one? But Scott doesn't look. Before you know it, you've been swimming against the tide, questioning your own mind, noticing the shadows of the growing elephant in the room. Until one day, you find yourself sat, listening to the heavy keys of the pediatrician engraving the big A word into the slate. Autism. So, is that it then? Life kind of pauses. Everything's ticking over, happening day to day to day. Actually, I tell a lie. The mummy coffee mornings, they did stop to a halt. And park dates turned into trips to see the speech and language therapists. Pinterest searches of activities for 2-year-olds turned into 2 a.m. Pinterest searches for activities on how to support the speech and language therapy. Milestones, time, falling through the cracks of your fingers, trying to open your reach to clouds of progress, only for them to give you no clutch. Us humans at that height, we can't even breathe there. In retrospect, life, the world, carried on spinning, moving for everybody else. But the life you once knew, the journey you envisaged, never really continued happening. It was like some double glazing glass window wall had been put around you. The world passing by, the odd passerby would maybe look in, but actually it was us. It was us gazing out to everybody else. But actually, to follow on from George Orwell's quote on loneliness, the worst type of loneliness isn't the absence of people, it's the absence of connection. To not be misunderstood, you crave to have someone meet you where you are, to meet Scott where he is. You crave a network of humans, of people, that you can echo and soundboard and connect with. When you don't see the void, feel the crater-sized gaps of the vast oceans with no bridges in sight. What do we need to change in ourselves? I mean, what could I change in Scott? Actually, no. I don't want to change Scott. Why should Scott have to change? What does the world want? Maybe it's an us thing. So the song of our life was on pause, the earworm lyrics of "So is that it then?" over and over again. Says my heart. Hey, I just wanted to say that I never realized we could fit so much love for one tiny human being in here. And my brain says, my head says, I know, right? The mind boggles. And the gut comes to the surface and says, told you, we've got this. And I, Nicole, cried again. And I asked them, what now? And they said in chorus, press play. And that is indeed what we did. Mummy mode leveled up again. And I mentioned earlier about an elephant in the room. Well, I met him for coffee. And I quickly learned the elephant's name was Fear. The elephant asked me why we hadn't spoken for a while. And I said, quite honestly, that I was intimidated. Me? Fear? Intimidating? Or is it you, Nicole, that's intimidated? Never thought of it that way. But it was indeed me as a human, a creature of habit. I was intimidated of the fear of the unknown. I shook his hand and I offered him a seat. And once he did, it allowed the light to shine through of the window he once blocked. I turned the speaker up and I let the song play out. In 2013, I met a wonderful group of mothers who had joined the journey before me, and I joined forces with them, absorbing all the knowledge, wisdom, and reality checks that they could offer. They had begun to pave the way for Little Smiles charity to create the magic it continues to make. And in 2014, after some time, I quickly recognized the lack of services and provisions there were for children with supported needs and disabilities within our community. Scott faced so many barriers, and I couldn't get him to take part in next to anything. So I thought, I'll start one. It was an art class that parents began to bring their children to, and we became a group together. Slowly but surely, the older siblings and their friends wanted to get involved and take part. The enthusiasm and the energy they brought to the room was next to nothing. So therefore, why not? We offered them some training, and the next thing you know, a community within a community was built, ultimately offering further support for those families. The loneliness wasn't magnified anymore. There were more people, mums and families. There may not have been the awareness and acceptance there is today, but it was growing and it gave purpose and meaning to my son and me as a mother. But to see so many other families coming out and joining us in the light and seeing that neurodiversity is not a tragedy, that was the element of success. It must go on to say that my family was around me too. And I must take this opportunity to say that they never left me. When I say family, it's not just those surname related or branches of the family tree. It's the family you create for yourself. My dad, my beacon of light, my anchor in stormy seas, my sister in motherhood, Hannah, the mums from the Little Smiles crew, never-ending love for each of you. My work and network in the disability field quickly evolved. The community began to know and gain traction of the work that I was doing, the work that we were doing, the work the parents were doing. Let's press fast forward. You may each have a different belief. Let's say a higher power in the universe. Well, the universe organically saw what was coming together. A group of mums hunkering down to make effective change in our community for our children. But ours means plural. Community. All of our children, your children, and the children of Gibraltar. We as mums selected our routes on what pathways we would pave, always working in parallel. And fast forward, I was one of those mums, building what we now know as possibilities. Hannah, my sister in motherhood, co-founded Possibilities with me, and she had trust and visions with me that were merely at the time scribbles in the back of a notebook. Relentlessly, we scouted every corner of the community for support. The government supported our missions as mums, and the community gave and continued to give, which we're very, very grateful for. The support that we so generously see. Remember, when you want to achieve something so badly, please write your goals in ink, but your strategies in pencil. Your goals are your vision, your ultimate destination, unshakable. A reminder that no matter what happens, you're committed to achieving them. Your strategies, however, must be written in pencil. Why? Because life throws curveballs at you, and you must be ready to adapt and overcome the unpredictable. A dream written down is a goal. A goal backed by steps becomes a plan. And a plan backed by action makes those dreams and hopes a reality. Never link your confidence to your ability. Always work with intent. Possibilities construction began in September 22, and by June 23, the red ribbon was cut. We had done it. Possibilities now hosts a day-to-day team 7 days a week of 52 staff. We hit our peak in summertime. This last summer, we had 112 families who were supported, and we took on 147 staff to make sure the attendees were adequately supported. We had done it. Possibilities is about autonomy and empowerment, and we advocate for equitable platforms and a person-centered everything. We don't do the disabilities, that people with disabilities are inspirational or superheroes. That sensationalistic language, and that continues to give the public that thought that perhaps everyone with an identified neurodivergence is Rain Man or a genius. Maybe they, you are. But let's not overlook the challenges that you, us, we might have to face. Please keep in mind, I'm using the word challenge, not issue, not problem, because to challenges there are solutions, and there is support in our community to find those solutions. Not struggles, not issues, just a challenge. To note, did you know people hear neurodiversity and they think about the brain? But the prefix neuro doesn't mean brain, it means nerve. So yes, there's a brain element, but neurodiversity really means how the whole body-mind works and how the way the neurodiverse system weaves together how the body and the brain understands, behaves, and the way that particular individual presents. After all, neurodiversity means so much more than autism and ADHD. So from 2 a.m. Pinterest searches, a coffee with an elephant, to an art class, to a building site, to a home away from home for the whole community to enjoy. Possibilities now offers everything straight through from early intervention and throughout life. Our services are restricted by no age or ability. And let us not think for one moment that I won't be ending this with Scott, because he is my reason. Scott has flourished from regression to now an orange belt in jiu-jitsu, asking me what is in his lunchbox for school tomorrow. And let me add, comprehensive is coming in September, so don't get me started on that. I never wanted to deny Scott the innocence of youth and the grace to experience the world in the best way he knows how. So, is that it then? Questions sometimes aren't meant for response, but for reflection. They serve to drive points home, guidance, and clarity. And once again, to the question of, so, is that it then? I can tell you I now know the answer. Absolutely not. My name is Nicole. I'm a mother who did what she had to do. Thank you for listening.